49ers Ultimate Report. This is John J., your 49ers reporter, opinionist, analyst, and die-hard fan. So we have a new podcast show on my channel called the Candlestick Point Report. So before we jump into the show, I want to explain what is going on today. Of course, I got my boy Shifty who's about to pop in just a quick second. But let me explain, of course, what this is. So, for those who have been following me for the past 2 months, the Gridiron All Day Podcast Network is a network that I've created. And we have the NFC West All Day Podcast, the All Access 32 Podcast, of course, the 49er Weekly Podcast. And now we have the fourth podcast called the Candlestick Point Report. So, this is going to be a fun show, still fun. The Fun 49ers Ultimate Report YouTube channel. And of course, you see the cool logo and you see right here the logo. So you know who's going to be on this show. No further introductions. Let's bring in the co-host of this podcast, our boy Shifty. What's up, man?
Yo, John, always a pleasure. Always good seeing you again, man. It's actually been too long. I know we've both been busy with work and whatnot, but it's rad to have this new podcast, the Candlestick Point Report. Great name. The logo's super cool. And this is going to be a lot of fun having two people right here, basically in San Francisco, talking Niner football.
Yeah, and for those who do not know, or if you've been following but have not known, I am from the city. Shifty is also from the city, so it's kind of cool that John Jay is not the only person anymore that does podcasting or YouTube stuff of the 49ers. Now Shifty. So that's pretty fun. That's just fun. That's great fun. And of course, as you see the logos, this is a podcast. And Shifty is the co-host. I'm just the co-host. Basically, this is our show. And hopefully you enjoy it. But before we jump into the show, like always, I know the fans know who you are. They follow you on your channel. They follow you on social media. But let everyone know who you are, what you do. Let's let everyone know who Shifty is.
Cool. Thank you, John. Yep. As John mentioned, from San Francisco originally. As you can see, very much a diehard 49er fan. I've really been doing my YouTube channel since about middle of the last season, but it's been a whole lot of fun, and just meeting so many people who just share the same interests and whatnot. But what you can pretty much expect from the channel is whatever Niner big news comes out. Of course, we're talking about that. The next month or so, it's going to be a lot of draft talk, covered a lot of the free agent moves, things like that. Just did a mock draft last night, which is a whole lot of fun. So definitely check that out. If you do type in Shifty's 49ers talk in the search, and YouTube should pop right up. And it's just been a whole lot of fun meeting guys like John and whatnot. And doing this is it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. And to make it very easy right here, you look at his tag, you type that in on YouTube. His logo is also here. So basically, as I mentioned, this is our show. This is what we're going to be doing. It's the same stuff, 49ers football, but you're getting a point of view of two guys from the city. So now let's go to the chat, because now it's part of the chat time. And let's say hello to David, who's always in the house. What is up, David? How are you doing? Appreciate you hopping on. He says it's Niners all day, and he said still F the Lambs. How do you feel about David? Do you agree with that? He says F the Lambs.
Oh, of course, man. Same old sorry Rams. I can't believe they won the Super Bowl. I can't believe we lost to them. But I agree with David.
Yeah, and I want you to get to meet my new boy CarCast, who's part of the YouTube community. Just joined YouTube. I was on his channel. He's a very smart, intelligent kid, all the way out in the East Coast. So,
nice.
What's up, CarCast? Thanks for hopping in. He says, "What's up, faithful? Glad to be here." And CarCast, this is my boy Shifty. So check him out as well. And if you want to bring him on your show as well, you're always welcome. It's always good to build a great community. So that's my boy CarCast. Damian Lee is always in the house. Always in the house. He says, "What's up, Niner family? Go kick rocks. Go kick rocks, D Ford." And we're gonna talk about D Ford. Yeah, we're gonna talk about D Ford. And then Carcat says he just reached 50 subscribers. So congratulations,
Well
man.
done,
We're
man.
almost there to 100. And let's help our boy Carcast get to his goal of 100. All right. Crazy Juice is in the house. He says, "Sup, Crazy Juice." My boy, Crazy Juice. He also says, "Sup, Shifty." So he's giving you
What's
us.
up, Crazy Juice? Good to
Also,
see
it's
you.
Don Lovato. Don Lovato. He says, "Hello, John Jay," shaking his hand. And he says, "Shifty into vintage cars, drinking."
You know it. You know I love Jolt Cola. But yeah, of course, vintage cars, man. They're the best.
Yeah,
I
I
like
will
that
say.
Charles Haley avatar as well. That's nice.
I will say this. I'm a little bit of a sort of not like a little amateur car person. I do like the car scene, but I'm not a very big knowledgeable. But I've been to a few car shows. They've been fun. They've been fun. Crazy Q says, "Same old sorry lamps."
You
And of
know it.
course, my boy Nelson, who's always the nicest guy, always says blessings, family, Niners all day.
Good to see you, Nelson.
All right, so let's jump right into something that just happened probably about 30 minutes ago. The 49ers signed Ross Dwelly. So I want to get your thoughts on Ross Dwelly signing. Did you think they're going to bring him back? Was he going to come back? Just what are your thoughts on the Ross Dwelly? Because it's just a very, very brand new news.
Yeah, breaking news. Yeah, Ross Dolly's back on a 1-year deal. I think it's probably a move that did I expect it? Probably. I'm actually kind of surprised that a team like the Jets or maybe the Dolphins didn't pick him up just because of his familiarity with the same style of offense and whatnot. But I think it's like a solid move. I do still think that we will address tight end in the draft. There's a lot of guys in that like third to sixth round range who I think could come in and do a really solid job, just to take some of the pressure off George Kittle. John, I know we talked about it a little bit, but I think that the ultimate goal would be, as great of a blocker as Kittle is, I think we do want to get him out catching more passes because just that's his biggest strength. So Dwelly coming back now, he's not much of a blocker. So I think the good thing about bringing a guy like Dwelly back is we know that because of how physical Kittle plays, that like he ends up missing games every year. You got to take the good with the bad. It's great that he fights for those extra yards. It's great that he really, really tries in blocking, but it can lead to him missing some games. So having a guy like Dwelly who knows the whole system, yada yada yada, I think it's a solid move. It's not, but I don't think it'll change any of like potential like draft plans or anything.
Yeah. Like for me, I was always a little bit like 50-50 when it comes to Ross Dwelly. Like the Niners did draft Ross Dwelly, and he's shown a lot of potential when, against, the Seahawks, where he had that great, amazing catch. And one of the things that, Ross Dwelly is known for when you go by the numbers, he doesn't drop a lot of footballs. Every time the ball is thrown at his direction, he catches it. So that's a positive. He does not drop footballs. The thing about Kyle is that, he needs to start using the players, a lot more. And Ross Dwelly, in my opinion, was, dropped from the backup tight end to the number 3 to Charlie Warner, because I think Charlie Warner is a better blocker. So I was like, I was going to be like, no big deal if Ross Dwelly left. But now that he's back, we have 3 tight ends. So we have George Kittle, who's basically the main guy, takes probably like 85% of the snaps at tight end. Ross Dwelly and Charlie Warner. I do agree with you. We do need to bring in another tight end to keep that tight end room, with a lot of depth. But if we start using Ross Dwelly more, I think that would be really good for him because, as I mentioned, he does catch a lot of football. So that's my thoughts about it. Any other thoughts of Ross Dwelly you have, Shifty?
Just yeah, a quick thing. It's kind of weird. I think the offense evolved like a lot last year. I mean, of course, we know how Kyle started using Debo Samuel. So I think traditionally Shanahan likes getting the tight ends involved a lot more in the offense. But with how like his offense evolves, it's I saw that comment. But with how the offense has evolved, maybe I would like to see us go back to using more tight ends because we've seen Ross Dwelly have some success in the past. In 2019, he had some really nice games filling in for Kittle, and then as you said, that touchdown grab against Seattle, that was a nice one. Good solid throw from Jimmy, but great catch from Dwelly. So I'd like to see him get more involved. Ultimately, though, I would like to think that we could probably find an upgrade in the draft. Yeah, maybe somewhere on like a day 3. Someone who I like a lot is Charlie Kolar from Iowa State, but there's a bunch of other guys in those like middle rounds. But I think we could find an upgrade. But let's say if the draft shakes out where we decide to go to other positions, I'm totally okay with having Dwelly as like the number 3 tight end.
Yeah. So I wanted to say Don Lovato says 57 Chevy.
Beautiful.
That's a beautiful car. Nelson also says subscribe to both the channels. As I mentioned, Nelson is a really good dude. And unfortunately, I don't know if this is a Rams fan, but he says brand new Rams house. I'm like, no, this is Niners house. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for hopping on and tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the show, but unfortunately, this is Niners house. So I hope hopefully everyone in the chat will agree that this is a 49er house. I hope I'm not the only person. But thank you very much. It's always fun having
good stopping by.
Crazy Juice says, I thought Ross Dwelly was gonna walk. Me too. I thought the same thing. And David says, I think we'll draft a tight end on day 3. Charlie Warner is coming right along. So that's great to hear. Yeah. So
I think Werner's solid. Werner's okay, but again, we just went so much away from the tight end position. I mean, he's an okay blocker. Werner is, but we can definitely stand to like upgrade just because we know that Kittle, again, the way he plays, he's probably going to miss a couple. You kind of have to bank on him missing a couple of games.
And he says, brand new says, hit the like, but appreciate that. And as I mentioned, I have no issues with the Rams. It's just some Rams fans, they love to be a little bit, a little bit of clowns and, try to be funny, but it's okay because we all know here in the 49ers Ultimate Reports, remind everybody that the Niners are still the best team in this division and will always be. So I'm sorry to any Rams fans if I said something you didn't want, but I as a 49er fan, I always will say we're the best team in the NFL. I hope I'm not the only person. The only person. What's up, J Mouse? He's in the house and he's sporting that Deebo Samuel. We're also going to talk about Deebo Samuel, but let's jump right into the big story today that everyone is all like, people say it's the end of the world, but we have to talk about it. John Lynch today, I found out that there was at the owners meeting. He was at the owners meeting, and the media asked him about the Jimmy Garoppolo, and they asked him 2 questions. So first of all, let's get to the first part is, why was Jimmy Garoppolo not, able to be traded? He talked about, like the injury came at the worst time because at the time, John Lynch said that there was a lot of takers. There was a lot of offers that were looking at the best place for Jimmy. Then the surgery happened. So that's what happened, why he's still on the team. But Matt Mayoko, got him on a really good question. And I've said this on my channel that are you going to cut Jimmy Garoppolo? You release him? What's the plan for Jimmy Garoppolo? And John Lynch, they're not going to cut him. So what are your thoughts, first of all, of this situation with John Lynch and Jimmy Garoppolo?
I don't know if I buy that. I think we ultimately could cut him just because I think he's like John Lynch is playing the game. Because if John Lynch is like, if he said, oh yeah, well, we're just going to cut him eventually, then it like eliminates any possibility that we could get any kind of trade for him essentially. So I think he's still playing the game. There are some teams out there who could use a quarterback, like the Panthers, for example, maybe the Texans. But so maybe Lynch is kind of holding out hope that if those teams don't fulfill their quarterback needs in the draft, that they still can always fall back on the Jimmy Garoppolo option. But yeah, I don't think he was ever going to say, oh yeah, we'll just cut him, because then, there's no way we would get anything for him in a potential trade. So, and you never know what can happen too. And I think what it kind of tells me is that they're actually willing to wait it out. Like I think Lynch is really willing to let this wait out until maybe into almost the start of the regular season. Not one ever like hopes for a player to get hurt or anything. But maybe if their like, quarterback goes down hurt, whether it's in training camp or preseason or something like that, then suddenly a team, they need a quarterback, and then bam, we have Garoppolo. So you never know. So I think at this point we're just kind of holding out hope. Of course, it's kind of not great timing with the surgery on his shoulder, because it sounds like he's probably not going to be able to throw until training camp. So, which is obviously not ideal. I mean, think about it. If you're a team looking to trade for a quarterback, if you're like, yeah, well, we'll bring you in the building, but you're not going to be able to even throw to any of your teammates for like 3 or 4 months. That's not the ideal thing. So I can't imagine any trades happening anytime soon, just because I think teams are going to maybe see what happens in the draft. Maybe they can get a guy there. But yeah, again, I think, Lynch is just kind of saying what he has to say, But it doesn't, I don't think it changes anything. Also, just type in Shifty's 49ers talk. Was that Nelson asking that question? And then yes. I should pop right up.
Yeah. So basically, David said, wow, the best comment.
That's true.
Every house, every NFL stadium is our house. Because one great example, when we played in Jacksonville, it was red. I did not see no whatever the color jerseys are for the Jacksonville Jaguars. When we were in Arizona, I heard some 49er fans from, that state, more 49er fans than that red, Cardinal. Of course, we don't even have to talk about Los Angeles. That's just, very simple. And also, I always want to remind all these Rams fans, our coach, Bill Walsh, has the biggest coaching tree with the most success, most Super Bowls. Just wanted to say that to the Rams person. But let's keep moving on the show. And Nelson, yes, like Shifty said, you just type in Shifty Sports Talk. So basically, you just type in. Let me remove the ticker. You just type in right there, Shifty Niner Talk, and his logo is also right there underneath. Over there. So very easy to find his channel. I make it easy for everybody. So yeah.
John, what did you think about Lynch's comments on Garoppolo?
I think he screwed up. I think he, had to, eventually go in front of the camera, answer the question. I believe that he was asking for too much. Teams realized what Jimmy was. Like, if I was just making a observation of the situation, I bet you, Cleveland, all the teams that got quarterbacks called John Lynch. And probably the best offer was one of these teams offered them a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick of the following year that can convert to a 3rd round. I think that was probably the best offer that John Lynch got, because if he would have got anything higher with multiple compensations in the 2nd round or even a possible 1st round pick, he would have just hit the gas and just, picked up that draft pick. But I think he realized that, all right, Jimmy's going to get surgery. We're screwed. We got to lower the price. And he realized, that now he's stuck with us because every team has a quarterback now. The Panthers, I don't know what they're going to do. The Seahawks, I don't know and the Texans. There are 3 teams that need quarterbacks that make no sense for Jimmy Garoppolo. The Seahawks are a rebuild team. They lost Russell Wilson. I think they tried to put him on a playoff team, and all the playoff teams said, nope, we're going to take these other quarterbacks. The Panthers, they're not a playoff team. I'm sorry to say that. The Texans, for sure, they're not a playoff team. So I think that those teams have reached out to the 49ers. They offered them probably quality compensation. It's just that I think that they want to honor Jimmy and put him on a playoff contender. So they realize that they screwed up, and John Lynch basically has to eat his words. Now, I will say this. I think John Lynch really, really, really wants a 1st round pick. He said it last year. I think he wants that. Maybe that's one of the things that, because he believes, and I do think John Lynch believes that Jimmy is better than what most people think. I think John Lynch, you're seeing why he's not a good general manager. He doesn't think like a general manager, and he's starting to realize that. That's why they promoted Adam Peters. Adam Peters floated, leaving. He came back, so I don't know what's going to happen next season. And John Lynch almost left to become a broadcaster again for NFL football. John Lynch probably, maybe he's the problem, but that's just my thoughts on this John Lynch, Jimmy Garoppolo thing. Any other thoughts on the Jimmy Garoppolo, John Lynch?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably overplayed our hand with the whole Garoppolo thing. Perhaps like in-house, we value Garoppolo more than the rest of the NFL world values Garoppolo. There were times for sure where it was like, oh, maybe we'll get like 2 second-round picks. And when you saw the deal for Carson Wentz, I was like, okay, well now Indianapolis, they have a team that's, pretty like ready to win. I would have thought it would have been a much better move for them to go with Garoppolo instead of Matt Ryan. Not necessarily do I think Garoppolo's better than Ryan, but I think Matt Ryan just carries although I think maybe the Falcons took on a lot of his money, but I don't know. I think Garoppolo is much more like a winner than Matt Ryan. Yeah, I think we probably thought we would get like 2 second-round picks or something to that effect, and they were probably getting offered maybe just a third, maybe a late third, maybe a fourth, and then they're like, no. So at this point, we're just kind of holding out hope. We're holding out hope whether another quarterback, another team gets hurt, so we can actually basically fleece them in a trade, or else, something that I'm thinking about a little bit, and that the reason why they might keep Garoppolo, especially through preseason, is that I wouldn't be surprised to see Trey Lance play a lot in the 3 preseason games, just because we need to get him up to speed, playing like relatively full speed NFL football. And the one criticism that I have about Trey Lance, and I think he's going to be really good, so don't get me wrong, but the one criticism that I have is that he takes a lot of hits. So, of course, I hope he stays healthy. I hope he succeeds. I hope he, takes us to a Super Bowl and all that good stuff. But if he does get hurt, it wouldn't be terrible having Garoppolo as a backup. But I think if it comes to week 1 of the regular season, if Trey Lance is fully healthy, I don't know if Garoppolo is still on the roster. I mean, if I was a betting man, I would say that Garoppolo was not on the roster week 1 of the regular season. But yeah, you just never know how all this can play out. I mean, this offseason has just been absolutely crazy. Like, who would have thought all these quarterbacks, all these wide receivers, all this crazy stuff would have happened? So I'm almost not ruling anything out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to say hello to my boy Rudy, the Ramilia Sports Report. He's a really good dude. He says props at 49ers Ultimate Report, but he says, but hold on, no matter how many Niner fans came to visit our house, SoFly Stadium, they were back to Santa Clara and lost to the Rams in the championship game. History was made. Oh man. Oh, Rudy just
opened up. See you guys next season.
Oh, he opened up some wounds that hurt. Hey, listen, Rudy. Hey, I'll give you your respect. Your team beat us. You guys won the Super Bowl, but just remember, if Jaquaski Tard would have caught that interception, that game would have been different, and we would have won. I'm sorry. I am salty. I'm angry, and I don't want to lose my patience. But I just wanted to say that. Anyway. My bad, Shifty. I don't know how you feel about that game, but it's still.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker. It's we were up, and we had a chance, and it's part of football.
Oh man. Anyway, David says SoFi was full of red and gold. Where the rest? Anyway. And Nelson just subscribed to your channel.
Oh, thank you, Nelson. I appreciate that.
All right. J Mouse says at Ramilia Sports Report, oh, hey, Rudy, remember you called our fan base bandwagons? Question. Yes, he made a video. He said it was a comedy video. Anyway. And then J Mouse says we own SoFi, LOL. Anyway, hey, like I said, there's real rivalry when it comes to the 49ers and Rams. I know the Seahawks, it's been us and the Seahawks for quite some time, but the Rams and the Niners, we go way back, way back. And
I wouldn't be surprised if that is like the next big rivalry with the Seahawks moving on from Russell Wilson. I mean, who knows how good they're going to be. The Cardinals are very up and down, but I would not be surprised. You have McVay, you have Shanahan, and you have like the good team. Both are really good, solid teams. So I think this could be a rivalry for at least the next 5 to 10 years for sure.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go to the next topic. D Ford news. We got some D Ford news, and basically, apparently, looks like D Ford is not going to be on the roster next year. One of the things that John Lynch was asked about D Ford's future. So this is what John Lynch said. He says, "I don't see a lot of hope in him being a factor for us on the field moving forward." Lynch also said, today in the owners meeting, I think we've tried to be patient as possible. No fault on D Ford. He just ran into a bad situation with his back where he couldn't get healthy, his rehabbing, but there is not enough hope and progress to see him play for us moving forward. So basically, all he's saying is that D Ford continues to have setbacks after setbacks after setbacks, and looks like the 49ers just got sick and tired of waiting, and looks like his future is no longer with the Niners. Your thoughts, your feelings about this D Ford? His time is probably done with the 49ers.
It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer just because when we acquired him, I thought it was like the perfect move. And it like on paper, it really was a great move. You have D Ford on one end, Nick Bosa on the other. D Ford is like the speed guy. Nick Bosa just does everything really, really well. They complemented each other really well, but it just hasn't happened. Of course, he's been hurt most of the time he's been here. We saw how good the defense was when he was out there. So it's just a whole bummer, man. I mean, I definitely feel bad for him in terms of just how his career has, come about, because I'm sure he knows how talented he is. We've all seen it. So yeah, just a bummer. I do think that I really did like what I saw from Samson Ebukam as the season went on. And I think Ebukam was a preemptive move last offseason that we made, knowing that D Ford probably wasn't going to be a factor going forward. But I was holding out maybe like a little bit of hope that D Ford, I saw him post on Instagram, like being like Niner gang and like ready to go. But with this news, especially from, John Lynch, I just don't think that we're going to see, I doubt we'll ever see him again on the football field, especially in a 49er jersey. But I think this means in the draft, we really do have to, we could look for another speed edge rusher. And one of the great things in this draft is there's a lot of good edge players, especially those straight up speed guys. So although it's a bummer about D Ford, it will be interesting to see how we maybe look to fill that position. And I really do like what we've done at the position, bringing back Kerry Hyder. He obviously had a really solid 2020 season with us. Bringing back Jordan Willis. We have Ebukam and Omenahu and Bosa. So even with this news, as much of a bummer as it is, I still think we're pretty good at the position.
Mm-hmm. All right. So my boy Nelson says, lamb chops are better than the Nelson. And then
won't argue that.
And then Rudy comes here with the Ramelia Sports Report, saying, here's more folder for the rivalry. The Rams have won the last two Super Bowls. The Rams have won the last two Super Bowls after the Niners last one in 1994. And the Niners never won a Super Bowl at their own home stadium. Oh, Rudy. It is what it is. Hey, shout out to Rudy. Hey, listen.
He's not wrong.
This guy's a real Rams fan. This is a real Rams fan. You can tell he's a real Rams fan. Anyway, let's keep moving on. But shout out to my boy Rudy. He's a good dude. He's a really, really good dude. Nelson says, I really hope D Ford just retires from the NFL due to his health condition. Agreed. David says D Ford's back gave out. I do wish it would have worked out, but wish him well. Agreed. Hold on. I want to say hello to my boy Fialua60. He's a Hawaiian out there in the great state.
Oh,
How are you
beautiful.
doing? Aloha, man. Aloha. I hope you're having a fun day. Crazy Jew says it's time to move on from D Ford and wish him well.
Yeah.
Agreed. And here's your boy, man. Say what's up, man.
CG, what's good?
Yep.
Yo, I'll
Yep.
see you later.
Yep. And then of course Tommy is in the house. I think Tommy, for whatever the reason, when Rudy's in, Tommy just pops in. He says, Rams still only have two to R5. Oh man, shout out to Tommy.
4, 5.
Rudy says, great stream, good luck this season. Appreciate that. And then Nelson says, God bless you, Rudy. But the Niners are better than the lamb chops. I mean the Rams, because lamb chops are way better. I don't know. It's so funny. It's so funny. Tommy says LOL to Nelson. All right.
Love it.
Yeah. So D Ford, oh man, he had injury histories when he was in Kansas City. Never can stay healthy. His best year when he had like 13 and a half sacks, and then we picked him up, and he played 8 quality games, in 2019. He was doing really well and then missed half the year, was able to come back, play in the playoffs, but then 2020, got hurt last year. They try to, didn't work out. So very simple for me to say is that when it comes to D Ford, I wish him well. I've been saying it that, they have to move on for him. And the good thing about D Ford, he restructured his contract where he returned a lot of money back, but got his money, his injury money. So that's all I have to say about the D Ford situation.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about Deebo Samuel, but there's some more comments coming in here, so let me get these comments out the way. All right, so CG says, sup, everybody. The Vermilion Sports Report said, at Tommy Huxley Correctional LA Rams won Super Bowl, Santa Clara 0. All right, they're going to go back. Yeah, they're going to go back and forth. CG says, we need to get more edge rush depth. Draft
Bonito, Nick Bonito from Oklahoma,
yeah, and
could be a solid move.
I do have a question for CG Ruthless. There's an offensive line, because he knows a lot about Oklahoma. There's an offensive line player from Oklahoma who I kind of like. I don't know if CG knows that, but I'll let him, make the final decision, because he does also look at the team. So I wanted to let him know about that. Tommy says, same franchise, Niners, Rams, Rams, Niners, wherever they play. All right. And then Oakland and Los Angeles. CG says, let's draft Oklahoma Sooner players for once. Yeah, as I mentioned, he loves that organization. All right, so let's talk about Deebo Samuel. So the internet blew up yesterday. Everyone was like, oh, like the sky is falling. And apparently, I didn't know that rumors were true now. So let me just explain what happened. So yesterday, the Jets, I don't know if it's a beat writer or just someone randomly on Twitter, just was probably just trolling, goofing around, but they said that the Jets are looking at the Metcalf, AJ Brown, and Deebo Samuel situation. So I don't know what that tweet got everyone all fired up, but I read that tweet and I looked up this person. Don't know who they work for, but at the end of the day, have you heard about these Deebo Samuel trades rumors? And what are your thoughts on these trade rumors?
Yeah, I did see it on Twitter where some people were talking about it. I think it was one of the New York Jets beat reporter. What am I talking about? I think it's Rich Samini, who used to write for ESPN, if I'm not mistaken. But I just think he's throwing out just some ideas, and somehow it picked up some steam. I wouldn't surprise me if, maybe the Seahawks are just going to be like, hey, we're going full on rebuild. Maybe they don't see DK Metcalf as a fit for where they want to take the offense. And maybe they feel like they can get like a bunch of picks from the Jets, just like they did for Russell Wilson. But with regards to Debo, I think it's just the most silly thing I've heard. Unless we got like an offer that we could not refuse. And when I mean an offer that we could not refuse, I'm talking a team is like, let's say the Chiefs are like, hey, we'll give you Patrick Mahomes, we'll give you Travis Kelce, we'll give you we'll give you like all of our best player or whatever the case may be. Debo's not going anywhere. And John Lynch had his interview, and John Lynch sounded very firm when he said that Debo and Bosa are going to be in the long-term plans. They're going to be 49ers for a long time. I believe him when he says that. He knows what Debo's so unique. Unless you got like the most ridiculous offer for him. If anyone called and was like, hey, so Debo, I'd be like, click, hang up the phone. But yeah, Debo is just, it's funny because you look at whenever you see like draft shows or whatever, everyone's now like, oh, well, this guy could be the next Debo. It's like, well, we have Debo. Why would we want to, we're not going to get rid of him unless he, for whatever reason, wants out of here, which I can't imagine, because since coming to San Francisco, he's had a lot of success. You think about it, Debo's been in the league 3 years, and he's been to a Super Bowl, he's been to an NFC Championship game, and he's maybe developed into arguably the best offensive weapon in football. He's about to make himself a crazy amount of money. We're still a very competitive team, so I don't know why he would want to leave. But yeah, those rumors were silly.
Yeah.
What do you think about him?
First, before I give you my thoughts, CG is talking about Hayes could be great next to Trent Williams. I think that's who the Oklahoma. As I was mentioning, I did some mock drafts. I'm going to upload a few of them, and explain why I made those selections. So, yeah. So I would, yeah. So if CG knows Oklahoma, Rudy says he says what's up to CG. Crazy Juice says we probably drafting Kingsley. And that's a hard name to pronounce.
Nagbare.
I do not know a lot about him, but as I mentioned, I've been slacking on my draft stuff. All right. CG says Bonito and Thomas on the edge for depth, scary depth. All right. Tommy says CG, Rudy, and I thank you for your coaches. All right. Everyone's talking to everyone in the chat. Tommy says, fight on. David says the media is trying to start stuff. I like the emoji. Lynch debunked the rumors. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Rudy says USC football is back. And Tommy says Cal, Stanford, and Oklahoma whatever is better than USC. I'm a Cal fan, so I don't care about all those other college teams. I'm a huge homer for my Cal Berkeley's, not just because my friends and family, and I know so many people and a lot of students that go to that school. I just love Cal in general. Nelson says Debo ain't going nowhere, but just down the field to make a touchdown for the night.
Heard that, Nelson.
That's a good one. Tommy says Trojans going to the Rose Bowl. Kicked. I forgot Tommy's a USC fan.
Oh.
All right. David says debunking the rumor mills about Debo could be the last thing Lynch has done this offseason.
I agree, David. Yeah, big time.
And of course, CG is rapping his Boomer Sooners, but CG, you're my boy, but Cal better than your college team. Whatever. He's gonna make fun of my Cal team anyway. CG says the Laters are going winless. Rudy says Niners need to get rid of Jimmy, extend Debo, and should have signed Tyrod Taylor. Agreed. I agree with Rudy with that. Unfortunately, went to the New York Giants, so I'm a little bit angry about that. To back up Trey Lance and give some leadership, maybe rotational, then in different situations. Tommy says Cal and Stanford. Oh. Yes. Oklahoma Laters gotta be. All right, so let's.
Yeah, they're going. Everyone's going at each other today. I love it.
Anyway, at the end of the day, when it comes to these Debo Samuel rumors, one simple thing: why? It's so funny how I'm glad I don't have a Twitter, and I'm never ever gonna get a Twitter because every time I read Twitter stuff, so much negativity, and I didn't realize that just because the Jets are doing their diligence, see if they can trade for these wide receivers. I didn't know that Debo was leaving, so I'm just gonna say like really, that's all I'm gonna say about that situation, and I'm done with
Yeah,
it. So,
I agree.
all right, let's move on. So I want to get your thoughts because I already gave my thoughts about the free agency. There was a lot of things that happened in the last 2 weeks. Players left. We brought we brought a good corner. Of course, we lost some of the players that some of the 49er fans wanted. So especially me, I wanted DJ Jones back. But I just want to get your thoughts on free agency. How would you grade it, and just overall, like just your thoughts in general about the free agency.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it went pretty well. It definitely didn't go as I expected it to. In terms of, I for sure would have put money on Garoppolo being traded. I would have thought we would bring back either Lakin or DJ Jones or Arden Key. I think Arden Key is still a free agent. But overall, I there was a clear plan that seemed like we had. Of course, we wanted to get a number one cornerback, which I think we did in Charvarius Ward. To be honest, I didn't know a ton about the guy before we signed him, but looking at his game, looking at all like the advanced numbers, whether it's like Pro Football Focus and all this stuff, the next gen stats, he looks really good. And I think he'll do really well in this offense. It really gives us that depth, that cornerback that we really needed, but it gives us that guy like since Richard Sherman basically in 2019. It really gives us that like number one cornerback who should really do a good job in locking down, these high explosive offenses. Our division is just filled with like stars at wide receiver. Like, in with the Rams, you have Cooper Kupp, you have well, if they bring back Odell Beckham, they just signed Allen Robinson. With the Seahawks, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then the Cardinals. I think that Rondale Moore is going to be really good, but of course they have DeAndre Hopkins. So we really needed some just like elite talent at cornerback. And I think Charvarius Ward hasn't played his best football yet. So I think he's going to get a lot better. He has a really good coaching staff here in San Francisco, a ton of talent around him too. So I love that move. Beyond that, I think the other clear MO was improving special teams, which I'm absolutely okay with because they were a complete disaster, except for Jordan Willis's punt block and the field goal block. So we really actually outshined Green Bay in terms of special teams. But beyond that, our special teams I thought were trash. We haven't had any kind of legit returner in years. We've been giving up crazy long returns. Like anytime we kicked the ball off, I was always afraid that it would get returned for like 40 yards or something like that. So we did some really nice moves there with Odom, with Ray McLeod, with Oren Burks. So stoked on that. The special teams should be, and of course, getting a new special teams coordinator too. So the special teams should be much improved, which I'm very happy about. It's nice that there'll be just one phase of the game, which we should probably be top 5 based on the moves we've made in the NFL. So that's cool. And then beyond that, it's just a lot of depth moves, a lot of bringing guys back, which look, we're a team that we were very, very close to getting to the Super Bowl. So I think it makes a lot of sense to bring some of these guys back. I think we made some wise moves. I like Laken Tomlinson a lot. He was my priority number 1, but $13 million a year for Laken Tomlinson, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
DJ Jones at $10 million, I probably would have liked to have been able to swing that. But, if we look at our defensive line, even in the interior, like Armstead looked great there, and I think he'll stay there. We're obviously hoping that Javon Kinlaw, and he's, sounding like he's looking pretty good. He's looking pretty healthy. Maurice Hurst Jr., he was hurt for most of last year, but he's a young guy who, if he stays healthy, could be good. And I really like Kevin Givens too. So overall, I think we're in a good spot, and I liked bringing back Denard at cornerback. I even like bringing back Dante Johnson. Who knows if he'll even play because he'll be so far down the depth chart, but he knows the defense. He knows the chemistry of the guys. A controversial thing, which I will say, is that I would actually be okay with bringing back Jaquaski Tart on a 1-year deal. That's just me. I know a lot of fans, and somewhat rightfully so, may want to just move on with him. But to me, my whole thing is, look, we were super close. I think Trey Lance is going to be better than Garoppolo was last year. And, add some nice draft picks. Our special teams will be better. I think we'll be a better team. So overall, yeah, I think we have to be pretty happy. We're going into a decent situation in the draft. But of course, I would have been happier if we got like a second round pick for Garoppolo, and we'd be looking even better when it comes to draft. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked on this. Seen a bunch of basketball talk in there too. Now it's crazy.
So I know. So let me get all these things out the way. So David is a Utah fan. So he says, and then of course, Crazy Juice hopes Alabama is going to be horrible in the near future. Tommy says, Rudy, great points. Can't disagree. And then my boy Sam Bell is in the house. What's up, Sam Bell? But my name is John with no H. My boy, he's a Tennessee Titans fan, and he won't let me forget that we lost to them. He won't let me forget. So, but shout out to my boy Sam. I found out he's a Giants fan, a San Francisco Giants fan.
Oh, cool.
Don Lovato says, USC football looks good. Boo, USC. Rudy says CG is part of the USC fan base now because his coach is taking us to the national championship. I wonder what CG said. Tommy says, he doesn't like Alabama. David, LOL. Crazy Juice says David, LOL. And then CG says, screw Lincoln Riley. He's probably all right. Tommy says Don Lovato, the real GOAT, is here. All right. Tommy says Rudy. Don Lovato, from the great to another Tommy. Yeah, everyone's talking to each other. And then CG says, screw long. All right, let's move on. All right. Let's keep moving with all these comments. Nelson says, anything that you might hear about kicker Robbie Gould, did he retire or is he still going to continue being with the Niners? I think he's still with the Niners.
Yeah, he's still under contract, I think, for at least 1 or 2 more years.
Yep.
I love Robbie. Robbie's great. Super clutch.
Let's see. Tommy says, oh no, CG, don't say that to John Chapman. Okay. CG says it refers to Texas. LOL. Let's see what else. Don Lovato, Dodgers will stunk the Giants. And anyway,
We'll see.
Let's not say that. I don't like the Dodgers. Anything LA, I'm sorry.
Dodgers,
I'm a Bay Area. Oh man, I can't stand the Dodgers, but
I know I hate them.
That's a different topic. I'm not even. Tommy says, I know he's a Longhorse fan. CG says, yeah, Chapman is cool. Rudy says, guess Bobby Wagner is trying to get paid. I was hoping he would announce he was signed with us today. All right. Tommy says, Dodgers will all be injured with anyway, let's keep moving on because all these funny comments. He says he's going to Baltimore or Rams likely. Tommy says Rudy, he wants 11 million. Rudy says Dodgers, Rams, USC, Kings look good. Lakers. Hey, I'm glad. I'm a Warrior fan. I have to deal with Laker fans here. We have Laker fans here in the city.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, how obnoxious they are. Can't stand them.
Crazy.
They're like Cowboys fans.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, too many Lakers fans around here.
Yeah, Don says, what's up with OBJ? That's a good question. All right, David says, Rudy, Bobby Wagner is 32, has 1 Super Bowl. I can't blame him for maximizing his one. And CG, of course, I know he's a Laker fan. I'm not going to say nothing because he always talks smack about my Warriors. Let's see. Don Lovato says, Lakers stink. LeBron is hurt. Tommy says, dumpster fire all day Lakers. David says, Lakers are the retirement home of the NBA. Yeah. See, I'm so glad. And CG says, didn't we beat y'all? Oh, here we go. Tommy says LeBron should be nominated for an Oscar. Anyway, Rudy says this year has taken 3 years off LeBron, AD, is fatigued. All right, CG 1 game out of 3. CG,
Yeah, it's really getting. I love it.
all these great stuff. All right, Dodgers, Niners, Kings, USC, Lakers. I see Tommy says Penguins, Kings. All right. On says trade AD.
Anyone's better than the Kings.
I see trade AD for a lot of draft picks. Tommy says that's my other teams. Tommy says we have a whatever that, I don't know what that means. Rudy says Rams GM lists need to go to Bobby Wagner and give him a Will Smith / Chris Rock slap. All right, let's go. Anyway, as CG said, David says CG Jazz are in 5th in the Western Conference, better than the 10th and 12th. Oh wow. Crazy Juice says Dodgers. Yeah, okay, he said that.
You got 1 out of 4 right there, Crazy Juice.
Any news on Arden Key? No news.
No. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back, actually.
Danny says Rudy finds every 49er podcaster on YouTube. He can get on you start a channel, Rudy. He has a channel, Danny. And what's up, my boy Danny? Let's see. Tommy says Arden Key is trying to get paid. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Rudy says that Danny, I have one. All right. Niner Sickness, my boy Niner Sickness.
Niner Sickness.
You know Niner Sickness, Shifty?
I've seen a little bit of the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so shout out to Niner Sickness. He says, "Go Lakers!" Oh my God, that's one theme that I'm starting to see when it comes to 49ers. You have Niner Laker fans, which is weird,
and Niner Dodger fans too.
That's weird. Anyway, Rudy says OBJ might not get might not get signed until the season starts. Okay.
True.
All right. Tommy says Beto only like the Lakers because I told him to like losing teams. and Niner 60 says Tommy, that's what I like. That's what I like the Niners. Cool. David says at Niner Sickness, hey Beto, it's smack talk time on G's chat. Anyway,
I love it.
Rudy says Cuvo my 49ers Carnell Beto at Niners Sickness.
Hey, Carnell.
All right. Crazy Juice says, I just like a college football and basketball. It's hard for me to just choose one team because there's a lot of teams I like. Cool. Tommy says, Beto, you guys won't make the playoffs, but I want you to make it. D gets smoked like Smith. Everyone's been talking about that. Don says, Rudy, your Rams owner purchased a mall in Wood. I don't know what that means. Niners 60 says, Niners, Oakland A's, and Lakers, baby. Cool. Yep, the A's, they play across the bridge, so a lot of A's games that they show. Rudy says, Don Lovato, yeah, it's going to be a new training facility. Niner Sickness says, love your show, brother. So giving you some props.
I gotta check out some more of yours, man. I've seen a little bit. It's good stuff.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Niner Sickness, the Ramilia Sports Report. The Ramilia Sports Report. Holla, Ola Carna.
Hola, Carnal.
My dyslexia is showing strong. Tommy says, Beto, the A's are starting from scratch. Yikes. Niner Sickness says, it's not polite to talk about your elders, so why are okay? Hey, this is fun. This is actually more entertaining. Me and Shifty are having
it is. This is great.
He says, long time no see, Sickness, miss you around my show. Crazy Juice says, remember, I'm from LA. Yeah, I know that. Danny says, thank you, Smith. I didn't have to see Jimmy G post today on Facebook and social media. And then Niner sickness, Tommy. Yeah, brother. Tommy Beto LeBron to the Warriors. Oh, heck no. I'm good. Tommy says, I like the A's, but I like the Giants better. True. Great comment. I love the Giants.
Oh, thank you, Ramilia. You seem like a good dude. Look, I always love a good banter back and forth. A little smack talk.
All right.
Never
Don
hurt
Lovato
anybody,
says Steph Curry to the Lakers. Oh, where's J Mouse? Oh, I'm so glad
dude.
J Mouse is not here. He's gonna pop in now. He's gonna start whining. CG says Shifty will be at the round table. Yes, I
This is
heard.
true.
Oh, Corey Davis is in the house. What's up, Corey
I'll
Davis,
see
my
you
boy?
later, CG.
Yep.
Oh,
Crazy
what's
Juice.
up, Corey?
Yeah, my boy Corey. Yeah, and shout out to Corey. He's had a tough month. Had some passings in his family. So
Oh, I'm
always
sorry
shouting
to hear that, dude. Hopefully, just keep trucking on, and
out.
hopefully some of this Niner content can help
Yeah, yeah.
distract you a little bit.
And plus, I'm part of the Corey Davis posse. He's my boy. Tommy
Nice.
says Don Lovato to Pittsburgh. All right. Tommy says Rudy is a really good guy. Yes. All right. Don Lovato says if it's the homes are Chiefs. Tommy. Oh man.
Maybe in Pittsburgh, not in the Bay Area. That's for damn sure.
All right. So our final question of the show is the draft, the 61st pick. So basically, we talked about the free agency. After the players that we brought in, the players that we still have to address, in your opinion, at the 61st pick, we talked about edge rushers, we talked about corners, we talked about offensive line. What is the number one priority at this moment for the 49ers at the number 61st pick?
See, it's a good question. I mean, I think we definitely have some, like, as the roster stands right now. I mean, I would love another interior offensive lineman, maybe someone who can play guard. Definitely a safety is someone, who I'd really like. But, I'm kind of tempted outside of quarterback and linebacker. I'm tempted to say just whoever the best guy is at 61. Like whoever they feel is the best player available, again, outside of quarterback and maybe outside of linebacker too. I'd just take the best guy, whoever they think is like, this is the guy who's top of our board. Because as good of a team we are, you never know what can happen in terms of preseason and training camp and, in the season when maybe some guys get hurt. Obviously, hope that doesn't happen. But I think just go for the best guy. And hopefully it kind of lines up with the need too. So if they feel like the best guy available is an interior offensive lineman or a safety or maybe an edge player now that D Ford is probably not coming back, or I would just take the best guy available. I mean, if I had to throw out some names at 61, I think if there are any of the safeties like Jalen Petrie, Lewis Seen, Jaquan Brisker, Daxton Hill, but I think they might all be gone. But if any of them are there, I'd be happy taking any of those guys. Interior offensive lineman, there's definitely some names out there for sure. Dylan Parham is someone who I like kind of long term. But I mean, I really just hope we go with the best guy, and then we'll work him into the team and make it happen. We all try to predict things, but I just say take the best guy available, go for it, and then even if that position strength is already good, why not make it even better? So I don't have any one position that I would say we have to take. Maybe it's a tight end. Maybe a tight end is maybe if like Trey McBride is there. Maybe we feel like, hey, we got a running mate for George Kittle. We need to get another dimension to the offense. We give Trey Lance another weapon. Who knows? But what about you, John? What do you think? What do you think the Niners should do at 61?
Yeah. So after we, lost Lincoln Tomlinson, when I look at besides, Alex Mack, who's going to be there probably for another year, we have Trent Williams there. Mike McGlinchey's still on the team, but when you look at, you have Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, two guys we drafted last year. Justin School is coming back after I think he had an OTA injury last year where he was forced to miss a lot of games. So you have some young pieces around there. And so when I look at that, you still want to look at what type of offensive line players. I think when you look at what the Niners have about 7 defensive ends right now. Of course, Nick Bosa, he's the starter. The question is going to be who's going to be on the opposite side. We can also convert Eric Armstead from D tackle back to edge if we have to. I don't see edge as a priority. Now, yes, we just talked about it. D Ford's going to be gone. I like Jalen Petrie. He's the guy who I want. He'll probably still be there at 61. We have only three players on safety. We have Talanoa Funga, who we drafted last year, Jimmy Ward, who has 1 year left on that 3-year contract he signed. We also have what's his name, Tarvarius Moore, who last year was also hurt. So we have 3 players. You talked about Jaquaski Tart, that you would bring him back. Well, they didn't offer him a contract. No team has offered him a contract. I think, the Niners have seen that Jaquaski Tart, once he has that turf toe, that's a huge priority. And some people can, bounce back from turf toe. But if you've ever seen turf toe, like in person, it's basically your big toe and the toe right next to it, a huge, rip. It sometimes takes a while for the flesh, too, because there's no surgery, no type of stitching for that type of injury. So we'll see what happens with that. So I do think safety is a priority. Interior offensive line, we have to focus on that as well. And, of course, edge rusher, because I know John Lynch, since he's been here, the model has been trenches first, everything else later. So, but if I had to choose a player, I would choose safety. And I like, Petrie. I like him. Of
like
course.
his game, yeah.
Unfortunately,
he looks really good.
Yeah, the cornerback that I like is going to be drafted probably late in the first round, early in the second round, the guy from Washington. So that's who I would, choose, at my 61st pick. Any more thoughts on the 61st pick,
Yeah, I mean, I think if Jalen Petrie was there, I would be more than happy. Looking at what he did at Baylor, man, he's just everywhere. He's all over the place. So also comes up with a bunch of turnovers, which is something that really lacking. Like the 49ers have really lacked in recent years in the secondary, just haven't had that many turnovers. So if he's there, I'd be more than happy to take him. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be options there for sure. And there's always guys who fall who we think, hey, they're not going to be there. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look who's there. There's always surprises. So, at the end of the day, I'm like, look, if we can just take the person who we think is going to help us out, Smoke Monday. Great name. There's a lot of great names in this draft. That's something I have to say as well. A lot of great names. Maybe that's the route we should take, just draft by name. But no, just but yeah, I think if Jalen Petrie was there, I'd be happy. Was it Kyler Gordon that you were for Washington that you
yeah. Yes.
I think he'd be a great addition too. As we saw last year, you can really never have enough cornerbacks. Like once we started trotting out Josh Norman and Dre Kirkpatrick, it was a disaster. Alec Pierce, CG says from Cincinnati, I think. He's from Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. Wide receiver. Looks pretty good as well. But,
So have you heard that Solomon Thomas went to the Jets? I want to ask you, did you hear
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
I think it's a solid move for them. I mean, just like a depth guy, obviously we drafted him 3rd overall and he didn't even come close to living up to that. But, I always thought Solomon Thomas was just a solid guy, just, part of a rotation, good for Solomon, reunites with Salah out there. Thank you again, Nelson, for subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate that, man.
Yeah, so Nelson says, just subscribe to Shifty's channel. Gotta go. See you all in the next episode. Smash the like button and subscribe to both these channels. Appreciate that. I wanted to put this up here because this is something that's true. It sounds funny, but this is honest, true. Crazy Juice is talking about Smoke Monday. Basically, his name is Marquise Monday. So basically, his last name is Monday, but he goes by the moniker Smoke Monday. So the good thing about Smoke Monday, he's a corner. a defensive back player who can also play the safety as well. He's projected to be a 5th and 6th round projection, but for anyone who thinks this is funny or you think this is just being goofy, I encourage everyone to look it up. There's a player called Smoke Monday. So I wanted to show that picture because that's so funny. Crazy Juice says he also likes Leon O'Neal Jr. is another guy he likes. All right. All right. And let's shout out CG Ruthless because as you mentioned, you're going to be on his show. So I will check that out as well.
6
and
o'clock.
Corey Davis with the $5 super chat. Corey Davis, the nicest guy. Always donating to my channel. And as I mentioned to everybody, let's give a shout out to, as I mentioned this month, he had a passing in the family. I can relate to be positive for just a quick moment. I think we've all lost someone dear, as I mentioned. Close people, that I've known on YouTube. When I lost my grandfather, that was a tough loss, for me because he was a good role model. So for my boy Corey Davis was so generous, so nice. That's why I'm part of the Corey Davis posse. He's a really good dude.
Yeah, shout out Corey Davis, and you got Niner fans with you, man.
So we talked about this. Corey, the tight end Ross Dwelly just signed 1-year deal with the Niners, so that's a really good positive. So, but thank you very much, my boy Corey Davis. CG says Dwelly is okay. He says okay. All right. CG says tough thoughts on Spencer Bradford.
Burford, I think he is he's for UTSA, I think. Offensive lineman. I think he could be maybe like late third, fourth round pick kind of guy, developmental guy. I want to say, did he play tackle in college? But maybe they say that he might be better off as a guard in the NFL. But could be definitely worth looking at in those middle rounds, for just for depth. And although I think, we have a couple of those guys already. I mean, I actually think that Jalen Moore could be a really, really good player for us. And then hopefully Aaron Banks can show what he's made of and show that he was worth that 2nd round pick too.
Yeah.
And CG, bummer to hear about, I saw it on YouTube. You had that message. So that's tough, man. So,
man. Anyway, well, when you're on CG Ruthless Sports, just let them know, that all the nice stuff. As I mentioned, CG's a really good dude. He's told me a bunch of stories, when he was growing up. So, that's why I like CG. Me and him, we can relate because, he's gone through some tough stuff. I've gone through some tough stuff. And that's why, I keep hanging around with him because it reminds us for one moment, while we can trash talk on social media and goof around, there's one thing that keeps us humble and human when, we have these moments like that. So it's really, really great. So, and I think this is a good moment to end this wonderful show by giving CG and our boy Corey Davis some much needed love and respect because that's who we are. But before we move on, I want to say everyone who are watching, me and Shifty are going to be doing these Candlestick points report on part of all of my new Gridiron Podcast Network. As you see right there, the great, wonderful logo and his logos as well incorporated him. He is the co-host of this show as well. It's his show as well. So, let's give him some love. Let's go to his channel, subscribe. Let's help him up there. But just like always, the traditional way we end this show. Shifty, thanks for hopping on. One last time, let everybody know where they can find you, what you do on YouTube, any social media platforms you have so they can follow you and help you grow on your YouTube journey. Shifty, the floor is all yours.
Cool. Thank you, John, again. And super stoked to do this podcast going forward. It's great to have obviously love all Niner fans, regardless of where they're from, but to have two guys from the city talking, it's always a good time. But if you just search Shifty's 49ers talk on YouTube, I'll pop right up. I do a lot of 49er content, obviously. Lately, it's been, talking about free agent moves, talking about like the draft. Just did a mock draft that I posted last night, which was a whole lot of fun on the Draft Network, which was super cool. But definitely check out that. Of course, my goal is to live stream basically all 7 rounds of the draft and kind of give my thoughts as the picks are coming in. And then, yeah, super stoked to do this podcast moving forward. On social media, I really don't have much of a presence. I do have a Twitter, and my handle is Kalen, which is Kalen, Kalen's Take. I don't really tweet that much. I kind of use Twitter more for like breaking news when it comes to like NFL signings and stuff, but sometimes I'll tweet here and there. But yeah, mostly on YouTube. Yep, search Shifty's 49ers. I'll pop right up. And yeah, I'm stoked to check out all the people who are in the chat, check out their channels, and it's a good time.
Yeah. All right. So before we go, we got a couple of comments. David says, Zach, Tom O-line from Wake Forest. Also appreciate that. Of course, CarCast just found out he got 50 subscribers, getting closer to that 100. Let's help this kid as well. And then Shifty, if you can reach out to this kid, maybe you and
I will
do a show. He's very knowledgeable. And I was on his show, so you could just check my community tab. You know, I left the link to the video so you can watch me. He's a really good dude. Nice dude. And CG with a wonderful said, yep, that's why I like CG. Anyway, but with that said, everybody, thank you for hopping on the 49ers Ultimate Report YouTube channel, which basically presents its Gridiron All Day Podcast Network with one of its 4. Now we have 4 podcast shows. The Candlestick Point Report with John Jay and Shifty, because we're both from the city. And, of course, great logos incorporating our channels as well. And check out Shifty Sports Talk YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel as well. So you can find him here on this channel, 49ers Ultimate Report, and on his channel, Shifty 49ers Talk. But with that said, everybody, I'm John Jay. This is Shifty Sports Talk. Check out his channel. He knows what he's talking about. And you guys have a good rest of your Monday night, wherever you are around the U.S. And go Niners.